Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday morning. How are you doing? Good morning, Patrick. How are you this morning? Oh, light viewership today. Ahead of the CPI numbers. So we just had an interesting red book number come out. A big contraction, minus zero point 0.4. I think it was consensus and forecast were for flat, and it was minus zero point 0.4. So that is definitely trending down. If you see, and this doesn't include, if you look at this little graph that pops up, this doesn't include today's figure, but overall it's been little bounce and then it's been now negative. So, and if you ever wonder what this is, if you can always click on these and see, this used to be much more important. I don't know why people don't pay attention to it as much now, but it's the sales weighted year over year, same sort store sales growth. So if you think about that, that is starting to drop. Well, maybe everybody's just going to buy everything from Prime today. So, hey, Heinrich. Hello. Hey, George. So that's where we sit right now. Did you watch the podcast, George? Is that what you're referring to? We got Bullard coming up right now. He's speaking right now, so they didn't schedule that with me. I wonder why not. I would have changed the podcast time or the stream time. And we have core inflation tomorrow. That's the big number. So are we going to continue with a slight upwards bias going into the inflation figures? By the way, if you were watching yesterday, Microsoft, Apple, Google, Amazon, Tesla were all down. Okay, this is reflecting the pre-market though, but that is from yesterday. So are we going to continue a rotation out of some of the mega caps? Is that going to continue? That's really what I'm going to pay. In NVIDIA, the rest of the chips were up yesterday. NVIDIA was down. So pretty flat this morning, except for Salesforce is up. We got some banks. Remember, banks report on, they start reporting on Friday. In terms of the groups, let's just do another quick refresh. The only thing negative is healthcare today. Everything else is positive. Basic materials, technology, financial leading up. Fed Watch Tool still 95% for the rate hike in 15 days. We had a little earlier now, only not through May, but through March, and then a cut next March. That's the only big change. And still in extreme greed. The still key strikes were trading 44.55, so we're back above that 44.50. So we had some more call gamma. We're back in positive gamma territory though. So dealers, depending on what the short-term options do today, but if they sell into the rallies. So anything above this 44.50, it's actually the gamma flips 44.30. So it's up in some pretty positive gamma that keeps rising into 4,500 area. So the minor level I'm going to be paying attention to is still this 44.50, and on a continued rally, we'll take a look at those levels right now. Good morning, Todd. Got the S&P up here. What can we watch for with this? I'm seeing if this is going to turn into a triple top potentially. So far, still not. And if it turns into a triple chop, is it going to channel and possibly take out? I got to update these, by the way. I didn't do that. We're going to the forward harmonics now. So if we really take out the most recent highs, we could have a key cluster area coming in about 45.30. That's longer term. What are we looking at today? Still same levels from yesterday. On a continued rally, 44.70, 44.71. The major breakdown level that was retested on Friday and failed with that retest. So that's going to be the key magnet point. Above there, 44.81. And then it's pretty much a clear shot to the most recent highs that were put in on Friday, June 30th at 44.98. And that 4,500 start kicking in. So that's everything to the upside. And it may well turn into a flag, business person. Thank you for joining. To the downside, you see we have major support at that 50% harmonic, 44.33. That was even retested yesterday. We dipped below it a bit, recovered, retested in the early afternoon. So we start breaking down. That's my first major support level. And then around this 44.15. And then still the same thing as 4,400. Those are all my key levels. Again, double top, not triggered, could turn into a triple top and be off the table without ever triggering. That's why we don't necessarily front run it unless you have another kind of signal. The NASDAQ has been very flat. Friday, yesterday, today. I mean, it's so far we've tested a little up on Friday and collapsed back down, tested a little down, rallied back up. So far this morning, pretty flat. Key level I'm paying attention to is 15,270. 265 to 270. We break through there, 15,330. And then we have major resistance up at 15,375. The key support, we have some minor support coming in about 15,140 to 15,150 and major support down at 15,070. Good morning, Options 22. Good morning, Martinez. Hey, Christoph. So that's where that sits right now, and the double is still potentially in play. Although the major thing, if we do sell off, I'm still watching for a close below the rotation zone. The Dow, which confirmed but not triggered the double yesterday, is bouncing back. So right now, I'm going to flip these around and look where the key 50% level is that we're trading now above. So the next one is 34,367. Then 34,480. The support level is coming in. The first support level, I'm bumping this down a bit. First support level is about 34,190 to 34,200. And then we have about 34,117. Right there, a key emotional close right there. So that's it for the Dow. But the Dow has a long way off to invalidate. Remember, it's confirmed but never triggered, and it could get invalidated before triggering. The Russell, the double, this is clear. This went down far enough and now back up. So this is a clear triple top. All right. I'll jump on something else too. And there's another way I'll give you a little tip without having to really calculate all the levels. You can learn to do this. If it's still valid on the next time frame higher, it needs a close from that time frame, and I'll show you what I mean. But if we do break out above 1929, we have a cluster at 1938 to 1942, and then we're looking at 1955. All right? And remember, up here we have some major resistance. But the triple top slightly favors continuation, but there's some pretty hefty overhead resistance. Now, what I was talking about, if you look at these Qs versus IWM ratio, which is I'm still watching for a correction. You might say, is this a triple top? No, it did not pull back far enough. But if we look here on the weekly, it's just a little teaching moment. You see, yes, it's extended, but it is still valid. So I need now a weekly close below this to trigger. But you can still see the rotation. It's getting extended this way, but it's not. It just means I use a longer term close. Now, if we rotate back up again and form a horizontal channel up in this range, it'll be off the table. Just wanted to cover that really quick. We'll go over the US dollar, Japanese yen. We can take a look at ARC also. So, VIX back below the 15 level. Fear coming back. This was just minor fear, but yesterday closing right at that 15 level and then pulling back in. So unless we really start popping above that 15 level, I cannot shift to negative bias, especially with those. I listed off some key support levels. Unless those are broken, no negative bias just yet. Notes, we've returned to the daily rotation zone. So I'm now going to watch for not necessarily today, but even, especially tomorrow morning to see if we get a nice rollover play back down to its daily rotation zone. The 10-2s hitting that first target yesterday and pulling back. So we don't have to deal with that anymore. Dollar index yesterday finished the double top. That is done and dusted. Done and dusted. What I'm watching for now, we're just going to flip this over because it also closed below this channeling area and back below the 62.5 again. Bouncing off the 75, but I'm watching for a retest of this 182 area at this point. We might get a little bounce before that, but I'll be watching for a rollover play again in the dollar in the short term. We'll have to see how CPI affects that tomorrow. Crude basing, so it's holding above this little support ledge. I'm still going 74.30 for a minor breakout play, and then I'd be watching for a retest of the 200 area. You can see the 200 area right in here, so about 77 at this point. Gold. Double is still in play and now confirmed, but not triggered. It still needs, and this is a lower probability double, so keep that in mind. 19 needs a close above 1943. Platinum confirmed, but not triggered the double yet. Remember, against the daily rotation zone, the probabilities drop, but I'm still keeping an eye on that one. The yen. Never triggered. Again, invalidated. This is holding key support right now. If we break, so dream come true. Know where your stops are. Right now, this is sort of a final line in the sand. Below that, we have a very key trend line and support. But if this level breaks, it could easily return to the 139 area. Do keep that in mind with your stops. Right now, cycles are at the bottom. We are not oversold. I am watching for a bounce play, but that would be a minor bounce play back to 142 at this point. There's no, remember, we had the potential double, never triggered, just kept selling off. So, right there. And we also, I mean, this is sort of with the breakdown of the dollar, we have the yen also. So if the dollar keeps going, we could see some key support. If we want to take a look what the other key levels are, I'm still watching. This is still, we can get a final push higher still into a wave 5. But this is a pretty steep pullback that does not invalidate anything. Even coming back to this trend line does not invalidate anything. And that's the 37.5 also. That would not invalidate this wave structure. It's just watching. We don't have a triggered bottoming pattern yet. So if this 50 does not hold and this is a key breakout area, then I'd watch for a return here. If this level does hold, it would be tomorrow a aggressive percent B buy. If this level holds, we close still above the 50 and then we take out today's high tomorrow. So I will be keeping an eye on that. Euro. Let's see. Oh, almost at 87.5. Not quite there yet. So that's what I'm watching for, a return to this high area. This would be a very sloppy topping pattern that will probably not trigger. I'll just keep an eye on it, but it's very sloppy. This is off the table. This never triggered double top. Next key area, 129.65. Bitcoin, no need to talk about it, still in consolidation. Tesla tried to do a partial gap fill, still lower today, watching for the final follow through back to 261 if we get weakness. Any rally, 275 is key resistance. Have you noticed how, look at this, if I click back and forth, look how similar these charts are. You see, it does. I mean, it's uncanny. And why is that? Tesla, Nvidia. Yeah, there we go. It's uncanny how similar the Nvidia and Tesla charts are. So if one breaks down, we're going to be watching to see if we get follow through with the others. Now let's take a look at the spiders and the Qs. The spiders right now trading 440, 52. Still, levels are basically the same. 441, 442.65, which was also the high from Friday. And then major is 443.90. Still holding the daily rotation zone. So key support, I'd be watching if we do roll over 439.66 for the close to 439.38, and then a major support area of 437.75. The key closing level, should we roll over, is 436.11, which is also the bottom of the rotation zone. Okay, thanks, Christoph. I'll have to figure out what's going on then. Qs. I have to figure out what's going on with that. Let me type it in after we do the Qs. Again, my support level is still 363, bottom of the rotation zone, just below that, 366.98. And then we'd be watching for 366.36 is the gap fill to yesterday's 368.50 is still the first level support, then 370.21. We already looked at Tesla with the gap fill. That's the only thing. And then if it did break below that, bottom of the rotation zone is about 256. We still have the potential double in play. And your resistance is the 275 area. Now, what's going on with this chart? See why? See, it's updating partial. I'll have to figure out what's going on. Wow. Interesting. Oops. I'll have to see. We'll have to clear the cache and see what is going on with Nvidia versus Tesla. All right, there we go. That's about it for today. I have a very busy morning up ahead. I'm just going to be watching. I'm favoring a possible choppy to upside still. Choppy to upside headed into the CPI numbers tomorrow morning. Keep in mind that's going to be very key. Although it's not the Fed's favorite metric, the market pays a lot of attention to it. So keep that in the back of your mind for today's kind of trading. And again, any rally in the S&P 4470, 4471 is a key target area. With that, we'll talk to everyone later. Thank you for tuning in. Bye for now.